here, like I actually went back to like the Google form to see like what I ordered. like what's going on here?
We are doing 5 good minutes with Mike and Scott, and we need your input. We live. Yes, we are. Hey, everybody. Getting ready to record. Hang tight. Join. So cold down here today. So cold.
Yeah, we're supposed to get like 7 inches of snow.
And you see, I can take it if we're getting snow. It's just cold and windy and no snow. It stinks. Buffalo is supposed to get like feet of snow, it said.
Yeah, I saw that because they're home on Sunday, so it could be like 2 feet of snow.
Yeah.
I read.
I love watching NFL in the snow. That's so cool.
Not many outdoor stadiums left though. Like,
my dad says he likes that one actually.
Yeah, I would like outdoor stadiums. Like, I don't know, it makes sense for the NFL.
I didn't even think about this, but like in the SEC, we're one of the only stadiums that doesn't have grass because we have turf. But most of them do have grass. But I mean, we're also
Michigan State used to have turf for years, which was so weird because we're like an agriculture school. We're like one of the best like schools for grass studies.
We had turf,
and we had AstroTurf.
But you guys are so far north too, right? I mean, it's probably harder to keep the grass nice. Run Disney.
But yet the Michigan State golf courses have like the worst kept condition. I mean, the university owns it, which is a agriculture school, but yet the course is just garbage. So ironic.
Oh, Andrew says 2 great outdoor stadiums in his home state, Camp Randall for the Badgers and Lambeau. Yeah, my dad loves Lambeau. I'd love to go there. You've never been there, have you?
No. No. I'm surrounded enough by Packer fans. Like, that's where a lot of... Well, because the Upper Peninsula, so the UP of Michigan is like borderlines Wisconsin. So there's a lot of Packers fans in Michigan because of if they're from the UP at one point.
I could imagine.
Like Tom Izzo and like is a Packers fan.
Really?
Because he grew up in Iron Mountain, Michigan, which is like way up in the north part of the Upper Peninsula. So he was closer like to Green Bay than he would have been to Detroit.
So where's Green Bay, like in the state? It's in the center, isn't it? Like kind of in the middle of Wisconsin?
I honestly do not know. Maybe Andrew can help us out with that one. For some reason, I thought it was like North Wisconsin, but I could be like way wrong on that.
I mean, it's Green Bay, so I'm assuming it's on what
like near Lake Michigan, right?
I'm guessing. I mean, I'm just using.
I mean, it's a proper. That would be a good guess. But they're not the Milwaukee Packers, so I don't know. That's Northeast.
True. Milwaukee's just by Chicago. Let's see, Northeast. He says. U.S. Bank Stadium. Now, where's U.S. Bank Stadium?
That's Minnesota. I've actually been there for.
See, I wish these stadiums would just keep the names like they had in the old days.
I know.
All these new like naming rights. I can't.
Well, Minnesota changed because they were like the Dome, the Metro Dome.
Metrodome, like everything should just be the Metrodome. Yeah. Like that's
but
it.
Then they split that up because because they split up the baseball and the football because it's like Target Stadium or Target Field.
Yep.
But like U.S. Bank, I've been there for when the Final Four was there. I went there for the Michigan State and saw them lose to God, who did I see them lose to? It was I don't know how I could forget. It was Texas Tech, the Red Raiders, because I was surrounded by Red Raider fans, and that's all that kept Red Raiders, like the rest of the night. Like, oh man, it drove me nuts.
Like that's where Patrick Mahomes went, right? So they're probably all this basketball game, all wearing Mahomes jerseys.
The problem was like all the Red Raider fans we ran into before the game were like at the bars and stuff were like super friendly, and then I just hated them afterwards though.
Yeah, that's sports. You guys beat Kentucky last night though.
We did.
Overtime. Then I looked at the score and you guys won by like 12.
So what happened? So Kentucky got in a little foul trouble, which helped us, but because they lost their big man. But we hit like a last second shot kind of to take it to overtime, and then we had an open wide dunk at the end of the first overtime. Like we just completely missed guarding our guy, and then they were just fatigued. They were in foul trouble, and then we just ran away with it in the second overtime.
I was gonna say because I was going back and forth between this crazy MAC football game with I was watching Ohio and Bowling Green, then I was watching another second game where like it was just going back and forth, and I was trying to watch Mizzou and SIUE because Mizzou's actually winning some basketball games. We've stunk. I mean, and Pam's like, "Are we really good this year?" I'm like, "I doubt it." Like, right? You just don't know because we're only playing. Like, that's a school Ricky went to. It's a commuter school, like across the river.
Yeah,
like, you just don't know. Like, you guys are playing Kentucky, so you know.
Oh man, I was locked in. I was locked in last night, and then, we're gonna have one of the hardest of all time non-conference schedules. I mean, Izzo is known for scheduling some tough games. We had Gonzaga, like in San Diego on Friday.
On that aircraft carrier, right?
Yeah. The second time we've done that.
Well, we had the football game, but I wanted to watch that. Was that cool?
It's so cool. So we did it. We did it years ago against North Carolina or Duke. I can't remember which one. And it was awesome. And then, it was just super cool to see us do it again. I want to get out there for that. I mean, the stadium I don't even know if the public can even go. I was gonna say, I would have to be like one of the biggest Michigan State donors to be able to get a seat for that game.
Yeah, as I say, I doubt you get a seat for that one.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
But then, we're going to play, Villanova coming up, in another non-conference tournament. It's, our non-conference schedule is so loaded, but that's what always makes us good for the tournament. We play all these really tough teams and games early on. We lose a lot of them, but it builds the team toughness, for later on in the season.
And you don't get punished for that in basketball like you do.
Exactly.
You get better. You get experience. You get,
Yeah. I think it's good. It's good for college hoops to see those matchups.
Yeah, it is.
I think we might actually play some awful team in Alabama on the non-conference this year too. This team I hate out of that state.
Auburn?
No, Alabama.
You mean the University of? The Crimson Tide. The Iron Bowl is coming up in a week and a half.
Yeah, we play Alabama. Actually, on Thanksgiving.
Oh, that'll be good. On Thanksgiving Day, it'll be like the Iron Bowl and Iron Bowl's next day. And that's you play in Tuscaloosa or where you play?
It's one of those tournaments. So it's the Phil Knight Invitational, which I'm guessing is out in Oregon or Seattle or Washington State, somewhere out there, wherever Nike is. I can't remember exactly.
Andrew just wants a Big Ten natty.
But Nebraska is going to be, because there's always a Thanksgiving tournament at Wide World of Sports.
Yep.
And I know Nebraska. There's Hugh wants to go watch them, Wade's son. So depending on how the day is going, maybe we'll swing over there and watch some college hoops. It'd be kind of fun.
That'd be cool because that place is tiny.
It'd be like being in a high school gym or something.
I mean, that place is not big for college hoops. Oh, okay. So the reason I have the hat on and the reason we got to start right away here is because tonight, Paige's squad, she's the director of basketball operations for the University of Illinois Chicago women's basketball. They have their first home game tonight. Now they've played 2 away games so far this season. The first 2 games of the regular season. They're 2-0. Now this squad last year only won 3 games the entire season. So she went up with a new coach. They both came from Mizzou last year. They left Mizzou. The assistant coach from Mizzou went. She's the head coach now of this team. Paige went with her to become her director of basketball ops. And so they've won both of their preseason games. They're 2-0 in the regular season. First home game. So I have a closet full of Mizzou stuff. I have more Mizzou stuff than Eli Drinkwitz, I think. But this is the only thing I have that even is close to Chicago. And this is it's the Chicago flag.
Oh, man.
And it is freezing here, by the way. It is colder than crap. I'm just saying it is way cold here. So this is not bad. But this says Chicago right here from the 5K that I did before the marathon. And that's the Chicago flag on my skull here. So
yeah. Is there a cardboard cutout of you in your seats tonight?
I hope. I paid them $100 for my season ticket. I hope there's a cardboard mic. I bought 4 seats. I got 4.
And I'm glad we got confirmation. I was 99% sure Nike, the Phil Knight is Oregon, and then we got confirmation. So
that's why they have all the cool unis.
I hate it when you say something and you're oh, you're not uncertain, and you got a bunch of people that are smarter than us watching.
Because you don't say, because if it was Oregon State, then Will be all over you because he's all Beavers all the time. Will Heinrich. Okay, so here we got to record the podcast. So this is for Monday. We had a cancellation a couple days ago with our trip report show, so no big deal. Scott jumped in graciously. So what we're going to do, we did a show like this with just me about a month ago, and it was 5 good minutes with Mike. So the way this is going to work will be better this time because it's going to be both of us together. It's going to be 5 good minutes with Mike and Scott. So this is going to come from the chat room, so from you guys. So the way it's going to work is I'm going to set a timer on my phone here. Let me do that real quick. Timer 5 minutes. And so you guys are going to throw out topics in the chat room. And we'll grab the topics and we'll talk 5 good minutes about that topic. Any Disney topic has, obviously.
I mean, we could talk about some Big Ten basketball. Like, we could do a whole series on that.
Well, exactly. Why Scott hates Saban, all that stuff. No, it's got to be Disney because it's got to be on the feed. This would be something else. So Disney, I mean, we got a lot to talk about. I mean, think about it. We got the ticket price increase for just the Magic Kingdom ticket which I mean, makes sense. And well, I mean, if you want to talk about it, throw it in there. You got the new ship. I mean, this thing is huge and it's half done. It doesn't really fit the aesthetic right now. If you've seen what it looks like right now, it's gaudy. It is ugly. I showed my wife at dinner. She's like, what? I'm like, they're going to paint it.
Yeah, I don't even think I've seen it, actually.
Oh, man, you guys see a picture. It's got like flowers on the outside of the hull.
Okay.
So if you want to talk about that, we can talk about that. Anything you want to talk about. So ride shows, what's going on with Disney, anything. So put those topics in the chat. Just throw them down there in the comments and we'll get started. But we need your comments. And we got a lot coming in. Okay, good. Perfect. Here we go. Let's do this. This is 2193. Welcome to episode 2193 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you and welcome to one of the best weeks of the year here in the United States. It's Thanksgiving week, so hope you have a short work week wherever you are around the States and getting ready for some relaxing time with friends and family and lots of football and turkey headed your way here shortly. So speaking of turkeys, today we have a pinch hitter and we're going to have a good time. I've been looking forward to this show. We had a last minute cancellation for the trip report, but no problem because we're going to make the best out of this situation and have a blast on today's show. Joining me, it's your friend of mine from up in the mittens, Scotty G. Scott, happy Thanksgiving a few early. What's going on?
Happy Thanksgiving week, Mike. Happy to be here. So are you calling me a turkey? Because you said, speaking of Thanksgiving or speaking of turkey, we got a guest today. Well, but yeah,
you're married to a turkey, right? You got a wife.
I am married to a turkey. She was born on Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm ready to record this show. We have a fun topic, and I'm hope to gobble up a lot of information today and get rolling on it.
Yes, and we're in that great time of the year, right? I mean, you're a big college basketball fan, so college basketball is getting rolling. Paige works in college basketball up at UIC in Chicago. We got rivalry football games this weekend. I mean, you got the game. I know you don't like to talk about that, but you got a big game in the Big Ten. You got the Iron Bowl going on. I mean, you just got, last weekend's games were pretty pathetic. A lot of teams were kind of setting up for this coming weekend, and then you got championship weekend moving forward. It's a great time of year to be a sports fan and to be a Disney fan. So
yeah, absolutely. I love this week. As a team that's more, I mean, we've turned into a pretty big football school. We've been to the college football playoff, but I'm always like, basketball season is more where it's at for me. I was a season ticket holder for years. I think I need to re-up that again here soon. But so you got like the transition, like you're close to the end of the college football regular season, and then college hoops is starting at the same time. You get a week off, to spend time with friends and family. This is like a really great week for me, usually, except for the fact that it's cold and it's getting dark out so darn early. Okay. Other than that, it's a great week.
I'm currently podcasting in a stocking cap. It is so cold already in St. Louis. It's too soon. I mean, it's January cold here, and it's not, it's before Thanksgiving. So let's knock this off. We got to wait at least till January. Anyway, today we're going to have a good time. I did a show about kind of like this about a month ago. I called it 5 Good Minutes with Mike, and it comes from our chat room. We have lots of folks joining us today as we record, and it's very simple. The chat room is throwing out topics even as we speak. I have my timer set on my phone, and we're going to go back and forth. This is going to be much better than that show.
And we're going to go just 5 good minutes on that topic, discuss whatever we think about that topic. And then after 5 minutes, that's it. We're done. Even, that's as far as we're going to go.
Mid-sentence, you just stop on a dime.
We can finish a sentence, but if you want to continue, we could do it on a Sunday night show. We could expand out, call in, whatever. But this way we can get in probably, maybe, 7 or 8 topics and just kind of touch the surface of things and, continue this on social media if you want.
At first, I thought you were about to say 20 topics. Like, we're going for like a record-breaking length podcast today, right?
No, it's Thanksgiving week, man. You gotta, everybody's packing it in, so I'm getting ready myself. All right, so our first comment comes from, and I got the timer going here in just a sec. Well, I won't start it till we get going here. But SmackDown Outdoors over on YouTube says, is the Christmas party truly worth the price? Let me hit start. Scott, what do you think? Is it worth the price?
All right, so the key word here is truly, because the question is in all caps. I think that's what we're really focusing on here. Is it truly worth the price? And as someone that goes to all these hard ticket events, I'm actually going to the Christmas party a week from today that this episode is being aired. I say it is not truly worth the price. You're spending top $1 to go in here just for a few hours. And while you get some great benefits, you get like the cookies and the hot cocoa, you get a great parade. Unpopular opinion, but I think I like the Christmas parade more than the Halloween parade. I don't know why. I just love that song. Like, it just puts me in a really good spirit for the Christmas season ahead. But for the $1 you're paying, like, that's all you're really doing. You're not doing any attractions or anything like that. So if you're not someone that goes often like I do, it's just like a single trip. You're buying a 4 or 5 day ticket. You don't have an annual pass, and then you're buying this on top of it. I really don't think it's truly worth it.
So I'll jump in here. And again, I come from the perspective of I don't like to spend extra money when I don't have to. But I am also a huge Christmas fan. Like, I love, just for example, a couple nights ago, coming down our street and one of the houses already has up the Christmas lights. And I mean, I went nuts. Like, I haven't put ours up yet. I should have when it was 80 a couple days ago, but they have them on, they have them up, and I'm like pumped. And they're popping up around the neighborhoods, and I'm just excited for that. So I love Christmas. I say it is worth it if you're a Christmas person and you do this only about once every 3 to 5 years. This is not worth it. To me, it's not a multiple, like a year thing. And it's not even a multiple, like once every other year thing. You have to give this party a break because it is such a premium experience. And you don't want anything to feel kind of familiar. You want everything to be new and exciting. You want to almost have forgotten what the parade is about or what the songs sound like and what the fireworks look like, and where you get your hot cocoa and your cookies and stuff like that. I love the feel of the party, and it is. I mean, I've said this many times. It's very much, if you like the old nostalgic, Christmas movies that you watch, or if you like, the classic view you get on a Christmas card, walking down Main Street with the Snope coming down and the projections on the buildings and the Christmas background loop playing, that's about as close as you're ever going to get to walking through one of those scenes that we've seen in movies or, you've seen on a Christmas card. So is it worth it in that sense? Yes. But I just think if you do it a lot, it is so dang expensive that you could spend your money other ways. We have a couple minutes left on this.
And that might be why I'm leaning that way, Mike, because like I went to it last year, and I enjoyed it.
Other ways. I mean, especially if you're a family, right? If you're single, it changes the perspective on things. But three people, 150 each, that's 450.
That's a lot. And then another problem though that you have with it though, this is one thing I don't like about the hard ticket events, like the Halloween party and the Christmas party, is it just shortens up Magic Kingdom hours so much. And then sometimes, like, depending on how your park reservations are, like, the only way you might be able to see Magic Kingdom at night is if you book one of these parties, which is really frustrating. So sometimes I feel like that's kind of how I am. Like, there's so many parties going on. Actually, when I'm there, like the week of Thanksgiving, they usually like don't do those parties, or the week before Christmas or the week of. So there's select weeks where they're heavily on the parties. And like sometimes if your trip is down there, like you kind of have to book it if you want to see the Magic Kingdom at night.
And that is kind of a shame because, I think we all agree the Magic Kingdom is best at night with all the lights and just the atmosphere changes from day to night. Yeah, I agree with that. And also, just to throw in that tip though, a lot of folks do avoid the Magic Kingdom on party days. So if you're not really concerned about being there late into the night, rope drop the Magic Kingdom on a party day, and a lot of folks aren't there. And you might say, well, I'm not getting a lot of hours at the Magic Kingdom, but you can get a lot done in shorter hours and just have a more pleasant experience because you're not battling the crowds from 9 o'clock in the morning till, 5 o'clock in the evening. It's a more pleasant experience that whole period rather than, maybe squeaking out a few extra hours later in the evening. But you're right. I mean, but finally, because we got about 30 seconds left on this, I would say not really worth it. I mean, it's a premium experience. It's 100% for me. It's a splurge. If you really want to splurge, do it. But value wise, it's iffy.
Yeah, I agree. I want to do it every time I go, but when I really assess the question, like, is it truly worth the price? I think there's things I would rather spend. For my family 3, you hit it my $450. Like, I think I could get some better value on a week vacation than that.
All right, and there's the monorail chimes. There's our good 5 minutes. So thanks for that question. Smackdown Outdoors. Okay, we're going over to Facebook for our next one. It is Andrew joining us, and he says, better use of the money, a 7-night cruise or a 5-day park trip staying at a value resort. Starting the 5 minutes. I'll start this one off. Okay, so first of all, you got to kind of think about what you're looking for in your vacation. Are you looking to be active? Are you looking to be really on the go and, kind of collect a whole lot of experiences? Theme parks are busy. Value resorts are busy and high energy, and you're going to expend a lot of energy, and you're going to be, on the go a lot. A 7-night cruise. Okay, here's the advantages there. It's going to be way more relaxing. A 7-night cruise. I mean, if you're talking Disney Cruise Line, which I'm assuming we are, you're going to be on the Fantasy. And so you're going to be on a very nice ship. You're going to be going to real awesome places. You're going to be going to the Western or the Eastern Caribbean, gorgeous real world places, get real world experiences, eat almost signature dining every night. You're going to have almost deluxe accommodations in your stateroom. You're going to have unlimited room service if you want that. You're going to have world-class entertainment at your disposal. Better use of the money, in my case, every time is the 7-night cruise. But that's where I'm starting. We can delve in more, but what do you think, Scott?
I 100% agree, Mike. So, and it's hard to say because some people are like not cruise people, right? Because they don't want they say like they can't swim, they're afraid of the ocean or the water, and which I totally get. And then there's people that aren't like, well, I'm a cruise person. I don't like going to the parks. I don't like busy crowds and all that. But if you take someone like you or me, Michael, like we're neutral. We like them both, right? Like a person that enjoys both very much, I would still go with the 7-night cruise because, I mean, you hit a lot of the things there too. Like, just the relaxation, it's just, and especially if like you have a bigger group, it's even better when you have like a huge group of friends. Like, I don't know, like who's all coming on the cruise or going to the parks, but I feel like you have more fun as a group on a cruise. But I will tell you, like out of all my Disney vacations, I always come back from a Disney cruise feeling like that was the best trip ever, every time.
Same.
And the night before, like, so we'll be leaving for Walt Disney World this week. Like, I know I'm going to struggle to sleep before the night before a Walt Disney World trip. Always happens. But when it's the night before a cruise, like I am like 5 years old, man. I am like all wound up. I can't go to sleep because I know I'm going to be on that ship the next day. I'm going to be sleeping on those beds that are just the most, I get my best sleep ever on Disney Cruise Line. Like,
same. I mean, I don't know if it's the rocking of the boat or it is the quality of the beds. Those
right.
mattresses are,
and it's the linens too, like the sheets exactly. And everything. I mean, it's the whole package of those beds are just magical to me. And then with the question, it's 5 park days at a value. Like I don't want to sleep on a value bed for 5 days when I can sleep on the Fantasy for 7. So easily the 7-night cruise for me.
And I think too, there's something to be said, and we love going to Walt Disney World. I mean, either one of these is a great proposition, but especially if you're going with your family, there's something to be said for every morning, or not every morning on a 7-night cruise, but probably 4 of those days, you're waking up in a different port of call and you have the opportunity to maybe go with your significant other or, if your kids are traveling with you, however the family dynamic is, honeymoon, it could just be your significant other, but to get off that ship and explore a different place in the world, in the real world, maybe rent a sailboat for the day or, get a Jeep or go snorkeling or, go see how rum is made, because as fun as Walt Disney World is, and you're doing all those experiences, that's great. but you get to get a taste of, a little bit of the world outside of your comfort zone where like for me in Missouri, you in Michigan, stuff that's kind of exotic to where we live. And I think that's pretty cool. I mean, going to Walt Disney World to get all the fantasy stuff, but I think it's because I get to go to Walt Disney World more that the cruises are just more exotic to me. They're, like you said, I don't sleep at all before a cruise. Like I get excited before a Walt Disney World trip, but I mean, I get nutso before a cruise because it just feels like just so exotic. It's a big deal.
There's in that morning, like even if you stay near the port, like you're so excited, or if you're off site, just think about the anticipation, like, oh man, I'm gonna wake up early, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go for a run and wait for the drive to the port, and then when you see the ship for the first time on oh my gosh, it's so great. But yeah, you were just saying something, Mike, and I just lost my train of thought. But yeah, like that's what it was. So like I love Walt Disney World. We love the parks, Mike. Like I love those vacations. I absolutely love them, and I love the cruises. But what's great about the cruise, you get to experience all these other things.
Hang on. Your internet cut out real bad there.
Oh no!
Hang on.
Dang it! We never have edits when I'm on.
That's fine. I just gotta write down the timestamp so I don't miss it. Because I didn't even have it.
Dang it!
It's okay because like you weren't there for like 10 seconds, and then you came back in. It was super.
No.
Hang on. Let me just write it down real quick.
Dang it! I don't know what's been going on with my internet this week.
Yeah, so it was at probably like 1350. I was confident. I didn't even have out my iPad.
Dang.
It's cool.
I know okay, so never need edits.
Yeah, you're totally.
I don't even know where I was.
You're
man.
Totally like pixelated now. Let's see.
Am I still bad?
Your picture's like really bad now. Yeah, you're really.
Should I come back in?
Yeah, try to come back in real quick.
Okay.
Sorry about that, everybody. We'll get him back in here and. Do. Do. We have 30 seconds left on that topic, and then we're going on to the next one. I need fiber too. Actually, I think I'm going to get fiber when I move into the studio, which is being built behind me. Let's hope he didn't. Oh, Sean's going to see ye. How about tell Bob seriously that Mike Rallman said hello, because I have not seen him in a while, and we are buds.
Hello. Man.
Now you're better.
Need fiber for Scott. Scott forgot to get the internet bill. You know, it's fun. Like I've been battling it all week, as you saw, and I remember getting an email saying about like an upgrade for our internet. So I wonder if like
it's a racket. See, they're screwing your internet over, so you upgrade.
Well, price change. So I wonder if I just need to like reset the router or something as simple as that. So I'm gonna play with it after we're done. I'm just gonna go off my 5G off my phone.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, because it's fine now.
Is this better?
Yeah. So here's what I said. Now kind of throw it over. So we have like 30 seconds left, and I'm not going to know because actually I will, because I stopped it with 2 seconds left. So I'll go like 30, then I'll start it again. Okay. So I wrapped it up with something like, it just feels more exotic to go on a cruise, because you're talking about not being able to sleep. And I said, so you can
So I already said about the sleeping thing, or no?
You talked about how the beds are nicer.
Okay.
Yeah, you already talked about not being able to sleep.
I don't even know, man. I don't even know what I was going to say next. I was going to talk about the service on the cruise, like how you can get the real world experiences, but you still get that great, awesome service of Disney Cruise.
That, there's only
that's what I was that's what I was trying to get to. But
I couldn't understand what you're saying. That's why I had to.
It was so bad.
So I'll set you up, but I'm going to edit this out. Yeah, that's why I like cruises though, because they are more exotic to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And then one thing about a cruise is that, you get those real world experiences that you were talking about, but then you get the familiar, like, great service of a Disney cast member that you're so familiar with, right? Like, I always say the best Disney service I ever get is on a Disney Cruise Line experience, because I don't know what it is about those cast members, Mike, but they're just, Disney cast members are great, but the cruise line members are just a little bit higher in service, if you ask me.
Yeah, totally. You always want to take them home.
Always.
I always want to bring my serving team home with me and my room steward. All right. Well, great question there. So let's get to the next one. And it is from Jason over on Facebook. And it says Sunshine Flyer. I guess we could also include Mirrors Connect, because kind of the same thing there, versus Lyft or Uber from MCO. So how to get now the replacement for Magical Express. So Scott, what do you usually rent a car? Actually, another option. So let's just start ground transfers from MCO over to Walt Disney World. Talk about it.
Yeah, so renting a car is always my favorite, my number one. I know that's not what the question is here, and I'll address the question too, but I just like the flexibility of having my own car. Like, I mean, for years, all we did was Magical Express, and we absolutely loved it. But then when my family started wanting to do more, like, resort hopping, going to different resorts for dinner that wasn't our home, it became challenging to take a bus to a park and then have to go to a resort from there. It just was very time consuming. So we found renting the car brought good value. And then eventually Uber kind of helped with that too, right? But from getting to MCO, yeah, so with the elimination of Magical Express, so there's like the Sunshine Flyer or the Mirrors Connect, or you could do a Lyft Uber. I recently did the Mirrors Connect. Now, I was at a weird time of day. It was like 12:30, 12:45 in the morning. So not a whole lot of visitors, but it was not the greatest experience for me. It took about an hour and a half. I stopped at Gaylord Palms. There was another offsite resort. Like, we were just hitting up everywhere in Central Florida before I finally got to my resort. And I wasn't even the last one. There were still other people on the bus that were going to be even longer. So while there could be some good value there cost-wise, I still like the Lyft Uber, because for me, it's safe. I know there's some questions on that. Like, is it safe? You're riding with a stranger, that could be kind of risky. So if you have a bigger group, the better, instead of being solo. But there's just it's just efficient to me. It's a one-way shot to where I want to go. It might be a little pricier than maybe doing one of these Sunshine Flyers or the Mirrors Connect, but I just feel like it's the most efficient way for me, and it's going to get me to my final destination a lot quicker.
So let me ask you this though, because you just did this last weekend. Cost comparison compared to like what you would think you would have paid for a Lyft or an Uber compared to what you paid for Mirrors Connect. Was it a wash? I mean,
so it was just me. So I paid $16 like one way.
So you was cheaper than an Uber. I mean,
but if it was my family, there's three of us, we're doing 16 times 3, which is very close, which was close to the price of the Uber. So I guess it depends on your size. Like, maybe we would have needed a bigger car, right? Because we would have had more luggage. So maybe add on like another $20. But you're talking maybe for like a family of 3, like a $30 difference maybe between the two. And as we always say on the podcast, time is money, especially on a vacation. I'm going to spend the extra 30 whatever dollars it is to get to my destination quicker.
Yeah, for me, ever since I loved Magical Express, I did. I thought it was just a great service. Get there, get on the bus, chill out. I'd always, get out my electronics, start plugging in my external batteries, getting everything set. That way, once I got to the hotel, I could, either check in if my room was ready or drop my bag, go to the park. What a night. And other than that, though, like, what I would also do is just, call when I got on the bus, I would call home and just say, okay, I landed, headed to the hotel. Now, without Magical Express, I tend to just land and I just grab my bags and I order an Uber. I mean, it's super simple because I've been traveling more solo. Like you just said, I have no problem riding solo. We've actually done this with Pam and Mallory too. When we're down for cheer. And it's just one of those things. You don't have to plan for anything with an Uber, right? You don't have to do any prior planning. You just show up, grab your bags, walk outside, hit the app, A car usually shows up within 5 minutes, and then you're over to your hotel within 30. I mean, it's just, and it's pretty cheap. It's not bad, and it's just low maintenance.
It is low maintenance, and like it's way cheaper than renting a car too, right? Because you're gonna have this dollar fee that you have to pay for a car, and you're gonna have to pay for parking at your resort now. That's like a benefit they kind of took away, right? We had the free parking at the resorts, unless if you're DVC staying on points. That's like the only exemption, really. And then another thing we didn't talk about too is like the minivans. As great as they are, like I don't think those are as good of a value because I feel like the price is just like racked up very high for a minivan.
Yeah, that's one of those things that Disney realizes what they have, right? They have supply and demand. There's not a lot of them, and they're popular, and they're just, it's premium as high as you can go lift. And so the Uber Disney fans want to get the Instagram picture. I mean, just like we did when they were
free. They were free when we did.
I mean, we were all over them that first weekend when they were running them just to practice. But I mean, I get it, right? I mean, there's only so many of them. Charge what you can, get what you can. But yeah, I'd just rather grab an Uber, and it's just like having your own personal chauffeur to get around property and not have to worry about pay to park. And you get dropped off right at the front every time. So
yeah, I mean, that's another benefit, right? You park at these deluxe resorts, you have to park like a mile away. It's like a 15 football fields away from where you want to go. So yeah, that's another extra benefit to the Uber for sure.
All right, let's head back over to YouTube, and Cynthia is tuned in over there, and she says, will annual passes ever return? My daughter starts her Disney college program in January, and I hope to make several trips. Well, first of all, congratulations to your daughter for getting into the college program, and hope she has a wonderful, great experience down there at Walt Disney World, makes lots of friends, gets lots of experiences. Everybody that does it talks about how awesome it is. I wish I would have done it when I was a kid. But let's get to the topic at hand, annual passes. Now, we did see, I don't know if you're watching the news today. I mean, it's kind of my job to look at this stuff, but Disneyland had the Magic Keys back on sale today, which is the modified annual pass for Disneyland. So there's something. But did you see, let me ask you this. Did you see in the news, though, that I think it was like 2 days ago as we're recording, they announced that the prices are going to increase for annual passes at Walt Disney World, yet they're not even on sale. Like, you can't buy them. But when they do go back on sale, the passes are going to be more expensive. Like, that is the most, just like, read the room, right? I mean, like, what company does that? I mean, I like Disney, don't get me wrong. But when I was thinking about that, I'm like, who would have the audacity or just to not even read the room to say, when we put this back on sale, you can't buy it. People want this, but you can't buy it. But when you do, the price is going to be more expensive. I just think that is so bizarre, but
slap in the face.
Talk about it. I don't know.
Yeah, we want this product, but guess what? We still have pricing for it, and it's increasing. But guess what? It might not be, a few months still until we sell it. Like, I hate that. And I don't know. Like, you mentioned the news about Disneyland, and that's promising for Walt Disney World. I feel like they're bringing those back at Disneyland, so it brings hope. You talked about the pricing too, right? Seeing the increased pricing, which is like a bummer, but it still brings hope, right? That the annual passes are returning, because I'm realizing, Mike, how valuable I find an annual pass. So I kept renewing mine in my family's, which I'm so thankful for, because I know so many people, Mike, that, and you're part of that too with your family, like that just let them lapse during the early stages of COVID, because we're like, well, I don't know when I'm ever going to come again. It was uncertain when the parks are going to open and all that, and traveling was down, and I kept mine, and I'm so thankful for it, because I wouldn't be able to make these like quick weekend trips, right? Like, I wouldn't be able to go down for 3 days, buying a 3-day hopper like 5 different times a year. Like that would be so expensive. Like, when you look at the pricing of tickets. So I'm very thankful I had the annual pass, and I think it's coming. I don't think it's going to happen in 2022. I think it's going to be like in that first quarter of 2023 that we're going to see them come back, like a January or February.
Yeah, if I had to guess, it would be, I would say probably around February that they might go back on sale. And same reasoning. I mean, if you're just reading the tea leaves, why would you announce a price increase for a product you do not plan on selling? Like, if you don't even have a plan to sell this on it all in the future, why make that announcement? Like, why even put a price on it? Like, if you're doing away with,
I guess maybe for the renewal, right? Because the renewal would have gone up too. So if you have an existing pass, and that's the only way you can do it, is if you renew. So
that makes sense.
Because I saw that increased too, along with it. So that would be the only way I can think of if they weren't going to sell new ones. It was for the renewal.
But I mean, you got to remember, Disney wants people to buy Magic Your Way tickets and not annual passes because it's exactly what you just said. They would much rather have a family come down and buy, 4 sets of Magic Your Way tickets for 5 days in a hotel stay than do exactly what we do and you do, like for race weekends. They don't want us coming down and staying at Pop Century with an annual pass. I mean, when I go down for marathon solo, I have my annual pass. I'm going down on a discounted rate at the hotel. I don't eat real expensive at the fancy restaurants. I don't spend a lot of money. Disney does not want me taking up that space where to them, I am a very low desire guest, right? And that's what's sad is I've paid a fortune for that annual pass. I've forked out all that money on that annual pass, but they don't see it that way because it's like price per day or something or per hour.
Right.
I'm not a price per hour guy, but I forked out, over $1,000 for that AP.
Yeah, that same room could fit 4 people on a Magic Your Way ticket.
Yeah,
and
exactly. And Disney making a lot more revenue.
Disney would just give you the boot. Like, all right, yeah, we're canceling your reservation.
Right. They're like, I don't want this solo guy that's going to go over and eat at Pecos Bills. I mean, that they don't want that.
Could you imagine if they started doing that? Like if there was like a wait list for like rooms, because on the travel side, right? Like rooms like sell out for certain dates. And then start waitlisting. It's like, well, can you tell us your family size? Well, there's 6 of us. Okay, we're gonna kick out this solo guy.
I will tell you real quick because it's 5 minutes, but I've had guests at the Magic for Less tell me they weren't sure that they want to keep their annual pass, but they have renewed, and I've heard this from many, many people. They renewed it simply because they didn't know if they'd ever be able to get it back. Like they're not renewing it necessarily because they want to. They're renewing it out of fear that they won't be able to get it back. Because if you don't, you're out of luck. Yeah. And that isn't how it should be.
It's not.
All right, so let's get to the next one. Okay, SmackDown has another one here. Price doesn't matter. Would you pick a Disney World? Well, we kind of talked about that. Disney World or Disney Cruise. We kind of already hit that. Let's see here. Oh, John Luther's got one here. Topic with Marathon Weekend coming up, and it is coming up quick, people. What are your tips for first timers? I love this topic. All right, Scott, give us, let's start. Tips for first timers Marathon Weekend.
Tips for first timers. I would say like, don't overdo like your park days. Like if you frequent Walt Disney World and you never done a Run Disney race, like, I don't know what your touring strategy is, but a lot of times you might want to take into a nighttime show, right? Like a spectacular, like a Harmonious or an Enchanted. You might not want to do that over Marathon Weekend because you're going to be standing a lot longer, for these shows that they're later at night at 9:00. And we all know how difficult it is to exit one of those shows, right? So, you see a 9:00 fireworks show, you might not be back to your room till 10:30. And then you got a 4.5, 5 hour wake up call coming. So I would definitely stay away from the nighttime shows. I mean, you can still go to the parks late, or like in the evening, but don't go super late. Like try to get out of the parks by like 6:00. Try to have a sit down meal. Like just stay off your feet as much as possible over those weeks. Because it's just a completely different touring strategy that you would have on a normal vacation.
Yeah, I want to kind of piggyback on exactly what you said, because I think that is crucial. People need to hear that. There's a different mindset, especially for Marathon Weekend, even over Princess, Springtime Surprise, and Wine and Dine. If you're doing like the Dopey Challenge, Goofy, something like that, if you're doing one of the half or the full, because those, for some reason, we get like funky weather a lot of times in January, either really cold or really hot, and that really kind of like it just wears on your body during the race. So you got to keep your body fresh as possible. But when I go down for Marathon Weekend, since I do Dopey and you do as well, I always look at it. I tell myself it is not a vacation. I'm going to Walt Disney World and I have a great time over. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't have a great time, because I get to see friends I never see except usually Marathon Weekend. Some of some of our lizards, I only see them on this weekend alone. They don't go the other race weekends. We have more lizards that go to Marathon than any other weekends. So we have a blast. But I always look at it almost like as a business trip. I'm going down there for a focused reason. I'm going down there to run 4 races. And that doesn't mean I don't go into the parks. I do. But a lot of times I just go see Carousel of Progress, or I go to Tiki Room. I'll do the Jungle Cruise. But I will not stand in a line for 45 minutes, because here's another tip. Standing in line is worse than walking around in the parks for your body. It will kill your back. It'll kill your legs. Standing is terrible. You want to avoid standing. Walking is way better than standing still. So watch that. Have good meals over marathon weekend. Schedule ADRs. Go to lounges and sit and have a drink and have appetizers. Eat, sit, just be off your feet and relax. It's a very different mindset. Don't even worry about Genie Plus and stuff. If you get caught up in that kind of stuff over marathon weekend, that can be a recipe for disaster because you're chasing times.
Yep, you hit one other thing I was going to mention, and like, you might not be a table service person. Not everyone. I know you like I'm mixed, right? Mike, you like to have a counter service and the table service. I like that too, but I think it's crucial, and I would highly recommend having an ADR at a table service restaurant every night for dinner because, it might be a little more expensive, but like you get to sit down for a while. Like it's a slower paced meal. Like for a counter service, you might be standing in line a long time, either ordering or waiting for your mobile order. Then it's stressful walking around to try to find a table. You just want to remove as much stress as you possibly can because there's already stress. Like if you're doing the marathon, 26.2 is going to be stressing you like already, and we're still like 60 days away.
I'm stressed right now. Like
exactly
sweating under the stocking cap that I'm recording in right now. Just said
that. So you can do yourself a favor and just like have your meals planned already. Like I'm not one that likes to plan 60 days out, like I like to like, see what's available like a few days before. But like I recommend right now getting those table service meals reserved, get that out of the way so you can have stress-free meals at a reasonable time, like 4 or 5 o'clock is what I do. I know everyone's a little bit different, but I like to get back to the hotel, maybe go into the hot tub or do a little night swimming, just relaxing before the big days, because those are early morning wake up calls. You're gonna hit the pillow and you're gonna be up like 2 minutes later. It feels.
And you're probably first time you're not going to sleep at all anyway. I still don't sleep on marathon weekend ever, and it's terrible because I just fight it. I'm like, I got to go to sleep, and then I can't. But real quick, you mentioned something kind of in passing that's super important. Schedule your ADRs earlier than you normally do. Like I always eat around 4 or 4:30, but that is the optimal time to eat. You might think, oh, it's too soon, even 3:30 sometimes, because then you're finishing your meal. You have time to relax, get back to the hotel, and wind down. You do not want to be starting a meal at 6 and then it takes forever. You got to pay your bill and you're not even leaving the theme park or the restaurant till 8. And then you're trying to get back at 9 and you're like, oh, got to get my bibs on my shirts and stuff like that. Last thing, because the bell's about to go off, make sure you have Memory Maker. Got to have Memory Maker because you got to get all the pictures. That's the best money you can spend.
That's a great tip.
I remember buying the photo package before they had man. I paid a fortune in 2015 for my pictures.
Yeah.
Oh my! I think I paid $250 just for one race, just for the marathon. I was getting robbed.
It's so. I remember I did that for my first marathon, and I feel like the PhotoPass photos are better quality. Like those are way better than what I paid for hundreds of dollars.
They are. And remember, don't get caught walking when you see the people in the tents, the photographers. You gotta do something cool. You gotta look like you're really getting it. And then as soon as you go past them, then you can do whatever you want. You can crawl, but you gotta look like you're getting it when you're going past photographers. You really gotta. Just saying, it looks awesome. Okay.
Yeah, you just gotta sell it. You might be dead. You might have a broken sprained ankle like I did one marathon, but when I see the photographer, I'm running.
100%, man. You got to just give it for the picture, and then just once you get beyond them, who cares, man? You can puke. It doesn't matter. All right, Jason's got one here on Facebook. If you could add onto Hollywood Studios, what would you add? Good question. What would you add? What's missing at the studios? We got a Hollywood theme. What could we add on to that to make this park even better? Maybe think about something from Disneyland or Disney California Adventure, or maybe one of the foreign parks. Is there anything we'd like from there?
Mike, did I lose you again?
No, you hear me? I can hear
you. Sorry. I have this. Sorry, man. This is the worst podcast episode ever for me. I have this caution window, and I couldn't hear you for 30 seconds.
No, we're good. We're good. So I told you what would you add to the studios?
Okay. Hold on. Let me get set. This is an E- for me. This is my worst ever podcast episode of all time.
I'll edit it up. We'll be okay.
And I dropped my microphone. We didn't even talk about that.
No, dude. I was like, what was that? You're falling out of the chair. I moved my mouse and then boom, the mic fell. I am just completely off my game today. I don't even know what's happening.
All right. So if I can add anything on to Hollywood Studios. Okay. All right. I'm ready for you to toss it to me.
All right. What would you add to the studios?
We've been talking about this for a long time, and I know the studios is heavily like Pixar, right now, and we got the Star Wars, and I know we got this barbecue restaurant coming, but it needs a Pixar character themed meal. Like Buzz and Woody should be at a meal, like you should be able to interact with all these characters and maybe interchange it. Like maybe you can have like the same two, like Buzz and Woody, I think are the most popular, right? For Pixar, like the Toy Story.
No, no. Dude, we are suffering.
Oh my God. What is happening tonight?
It's going to be fun.
Everyone's going to be like starting a GoFundMe for my internet service or something. I just don't know what's happening.
We'll be all right. Okay, so let's see.
I just created so much work for you.
No, it's not really that big a deal. I'll get it. This is how it used to be in the old days with Skype, man. I used to spend forever editing.
I know, but like I hate like having to do edits, man. I'm like a one take guy.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll get it. It's not big because I write down the times. Okay, so here I'll throw it over to you and let's hope for the best. Okay, so
you didn't say anything about a Pixar, like because I missed what you said earlier. So
I didn't say that. I'm going to talk about the Muppets, but so you do your thing.
Okay.
Okay, so hang on, I'm just going to start the timer over. Okay, so what would you add to the studios?
The studios have like done a lot with Star Wars, and we got a lot of Toy Story and Pixar stuff. And I know we got this new Woody's or the barbecue restaurant that's coming, but we've been saying it for years, Mike, and it's just a money making machine, right? We need a Pixar or a Toy Story character meal. Like that is one big thing that's missing for me, and you could keep like Buzz and Woody like there all the time, because those are like the two standouts for me. And I think most people when you think of like Pixar. But then maybe you can have interchangeable characters. You can bring in, you got this huge catalog of Pixar movies, and you can just keep it fresh and kind of like what they do at Hollywood and Vine, I guess, like with the seasonal dining. Like Minnie used to like change her outfits or whatnot. And I know like maybe that's two heavy character meals in one theme park, but I think it would be good. It'd be a great balance, and kids would just love it. Like I know I would love it too as an adult. Like I would love to have like a Toy Story character meal.
No, I 100% agree with you there. I've said this for years. Like, if they had a character meal with Buzz, Woody, Bullseye, Jesse, just throw anybody, Potato Head, Slinky Dog, any of the minor characters, RC somehow in there. It doesn't matter. Any minor character, you could have the prospector, whatever, smells a lot or whatever the bear is. What's that bear that had the smell?
Oh, it's Grumpus. I call it Grumpus because that's the Twitter handle that like trolls us.
Trolling us on Twitter. No, but anyway,
Lotso.
And you could just rotate. You could rotate in and out the minor characters, but like the fact that we do not have that in Walt Disney World in like a Chef Mickey's style breakfast, lunch, dinner buffet boggles my mind. You could charge whatever you wanted and get it for that meal. Chef Mickey's is insanely expensive for a buffet. You're paying for the experience to meet the Fab Five. Super simple. Don't have to wait in line. Decent food, but it's buffet food, but it's good food. You're getting to eat in the Contemporary. That's awesome. The monorail's going over your head. That's awesome. But you could charge that much or more for the Toy Story characters because there is such a generation that grew up with those characters. How we don't have that, insanity. There must be some kind of reason. There must be some kind of like licensing. They can't do it. I don't know. I'm not smart enough, but you're exactly right. Now, the thing I would add to the studios, and they were going to do this before Jim Henson passed away, was Muppets. Just blow it out, have more Muppets, because is stale in a way. And I'm saying stale, not in a terrible way, but just because it's been there and I like this because it's like a time vault. Muppet Vision, right? I love it every time I go. Like I get a kick out of it, except for the little animated guy. What's his name? I can't remember.
Yeah,
He's annoying as anything. I don't know why that guy's in there, but the Muppet,
he's not memorable because we can't even think of the name.
Yeah, he just bugs me. Like he comes out of the 3D, the little guy. Like forget him. But the real Muppets, like it's right. There's so many classic lines just in this one show. You got Sam Eagle. It's a glorious 3-hour finale. You got 30 seconds. You know, it's like the whole thing is amazing. And if they could have expanded that out, because I know Mama Melrose was going to be a Muppets restaurant. That was kind of the plan. Man, I still think people would just love if they could expand out, do maybe a Muppet coaster, maybe a Muppet dark ride where you go through, the Great Muppet Caper, maybe just some of the scenes from classic movies like the movie ride was going to be. Oh, I just think even though the Muppets aren't represented like they used to be, I think people would embrace it, especially people our age. I love it.
Yep. And you talked about the movie ride. So like, I love Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I think it's great. I actually like it more than Rise of the Resistance. I know that's not a popular opinion, but I wish they could have somehow kept the great movie ride and moved Mickey and Minnie's to like the courtyard animation where Disney Junior is. Like, I feel like we could have had both. So like my add-on would be to move Mickey and Minnie's over to the animation courtyard area and bring back the great movie ride, because that's what Hollywood Studios is all about. It's Hollywood. Bring back more Streetmosphere too. That would be another thing I would want to add on. It's not adding on like an attraction or a ride, but that is like high entertainment right there. The Streetmosphere, like with the background music, the 30s and 40s music, it's like old Hollywood. Like that is really what's missing from the park for me.
No, I agree. Because I mean, really, when we kind of fell in love with Disney's Hollywood Studios or MGM Studios back in the day, I'm speaking for me, is that it was a working studio back then. You had the backlot tour, but you had the Streetmosphere. You had people pretending to make movies on Sunset Boulevard. They would draw you in. They would say, "Oh, here, get in the shot," and they'd frame you with their hands like, "Oh, you're the perfect casting type we're looking for." And then you would be involved in a scene, and this dad from Kansas would be walking down. "Oh no, that's not how you walk as a movie star," And even if you weren't the person that was involved with the Streetmosphere characters, I mean, I'd almost be rolling on the ground laughing just watching these unsuspecting guests, from like Toledo, Ohio, that don't want to be involved, but they had a way to suck people in and get them to do crazy stuff, and I just love that. Like, I didn't go to that park for that, but that was the reason why I had a good time when I was at that park.
Those are your best memories of the park.
Yeah,
like
it was awesome,
and it's just added. Like, you don't need a $1 billion coaster or how much money these things cost. You just need people. Like let's bring in some people to do this, like reenacting with the guest again. That would just be so perfect for me.
All right, last topic. I'm going to throw this one in. So it's the last topic. I'm going to give this one. And sorry we had some issues today technically, but we've hung in here, and hopefully you've hung with us. We're going to get these resolved for next show, but we're going to be fine. Hopefully I've got this edit pretty good. Last thing, when we were recording this show, this day we found out that Disney Cruise Line had purchased this ship that is halfway done being built. The ship itself is finished, but the inside is not. And this thing is a massive ship that is going to hold 6,000 passengers, 2,300 crew, way bigger than the Dream or the Fantasy or the Wish or the Magic or the Wonder. It's going to be enormous. The ship is not going to sail in the United States. It was made for the Asia market. This other company was building it right as the pandemic hit. They went bankrupt because obviously the cruise industry shut down while this ship was being built, had a big old bill, so they couldn't finish it. So it's been sitting just half done for about a year, and it's been for sale for a long time. And it was about this close to being sold for scrap that because they couldn't get anybody to buy it. And so Disney, last kind of like at the 11th hour, jumps in and buys this cruise ship. They're going to finish it. And then we've seen artist renderings today. It's going to look like the other ships, but it's going to be way bigger. It's going to have 3 funnels instead of 2. Rumor is it may have a casino because it's going to be in Asia. So Scott, let's talk about this. What does this mean to have, because this ship is unlike the others in the fact that it's probably going to be based in Asia because Disney Cruise Line does not have a presence there. But this ship is more going to be akin to like the massive Royal Caribbean ships. Good move or bad move, or what are your thoughts?
I think it's a good move. Like, I think it's good for the company. When you look at the big picture of Disney, I think it's because you're going to tap into this market that they're not really in. Like, if it goes to Asia, I mean, you got some theme parks in there, but to get into the cruise line, you're talking 6,000 passengers. Like, when I first heard that, I was like, how's it going to go to Castaway Cay? Like, that's going to be awful. But then, like, it makes sense. Like, it's not going to be a Caribbean cruise, right? But yeah, it's just going to, I mean, just think of like the amount of like income it's going to be. Like, I know it's going to be heavy cost up front, but I think it's going to be a great decision when you think on the business side of the company, because you're going to be getting all these extra passengers that probably never done Disney Cruise Line. You're hitting another section of the world. And I know we were on a group chat earlier today about this, and sign me up. Like, I will fly out there and want to experience this. It might be a once in a lifetime event for me, where like you just take 2 to 3 weeks off. You just tour that part of the world and you do all these other things, and then maybe end it off with the sailing on this massive Disney ship.
Yeah, I'm all for it because, Disney Cruise Line needs capacity on their ships. Now this ship won't be competing with a lot of the folks who book Disney Cruise Line right now, because most of the folks that I book at the Magic for Less, we're looking for cruises to the Caribbean or to the Bahamas, maybe the Med, stuff like that. So this is going to be a totally different market for most of us. I'm just super curious about this because I have sailed like Freedom of the Seas, which was the biggest ship in the world at the time on Royal. And I loved it. It literally was a floating city. It was insane. Big casino, big, gigantic shopping mall right down the gut. I mean, it was insane. Like I couldn't get over how big this thing was.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see Disney. They're pretty conservative usually when it comes to buying something like this. So I think since it was like the 11th hour, they must have got this ship for a song, right? And it's,
right.
If you think about it, it's kind of perfect because it's halfway built, so they won't have to spend so much time, but the interior is not. So they can take this ship, the hull, and they can make it their own, right? I mean, it's almost perfect because they don't have to like retrofit anything. They can go ahead and make
they got the canvas for the interior,
paint the outside, and bam, let's rock, because it's supposed to sail in 2025.
Yeah. So I've only been like on the Dream Class ships for Disney. I haven't been on any other cruise lines. So, we got the 3 restaurants on those ships, which have like 2,000 passengers roughly. Like, what is
yeah.
So I'm just thinking, like, how many restaurants are they going to have on this 6,000 passenger? I don't know what they had on the Royal, but I'm just thinking, like, it's got to be. I mean, you got to feed 6,000 people if you had a full sailing.
A Royal, the restaurants, there's not a lot of them, but they're just gigantic. Like, they're like, when we sailed Freedom of the Seas, like our one of the main restaurants was 4 stories. Like,
oh wow,
it told you what floor to go onto your restaurant. I mean, it was in, like, you went to Leonardo's, but you were like on Leonardo's like floor 3. It was crazy.
So you got to get there like 20 minutes early, because it's going to take you 20 minutes once you get to the check-in desk to find your table.
Yeah, it was like a department store or something. It was nuts.
Yeah,
it was exotic.
The casino thing is interesting, right? Because like Disney, I mean, we joke on the podcast like, oh, Disney needs to get into the gambling with the ESPN, the Odyssey, and all that. But I bet you probably how this ship was built, though, they probably have a giant space that's meant for like a casino, and Disney could do something else with that space, obviously, right? But that would be very interesting. But not being like a United States cruise, I could see them adding the casino, and me, that's another plus for me to want to try that out.
Well, see, I do listen to, obviously I work in the travel industry, so I listen to a couple of podcasts that focus on the cruise industry. And there's been a lot of speculation on who's going to buy this ship, or if anybody was going to buy it, because they were going to sell it for scrap. Nobody was buying it. I'm shocked that Royal didn't, because it kind of fits the Royal profile more than anybody. But then Disney jumps in and buys. I couldn't believe it when I saw this on Twitter. And then, to me, though, I think, and I have no insider information on this. We only know it for like 3 hours at this point, but this is the perfect opportunity for Disney to put a casino in a ship, because I don't think you're going to get a lot of, backlash from it, because this ship's going to be far enough away from the States. You're not going to hear a ton about it here. This is a good test market. And like you said, there are people that want that on a cruise. I'm sure there's people that sail on Disney Cruise Line because they don't have casinos. I like that they don't. I'm not against. I don't really care.
Like, I do too. Like, you don't necessarily want that on a ship. I'm with you.
But I mean, some people like want to gamble. Like that's one of the reasons they go. They want to play, cards. They want to slots and craps. And I mean, it's what it is. I mean, it's a form of entertainment. It's just another thing to do on the ship. And with the ship that big, you're going to need stuff to do.
Yeah. And then in the chat, I see like Mickey slots. I've never seen like Disney affiliated with like anything gambling, but that would be a riot. If you get 3 Mickeys, you win the jackpot.
Oh my God. Okay, that's when Walt rolls over in his grave. Maybe I don't know, because the thing is, I mean, and we've talked about this, and I truly think Disney is, and this is the last one we got to wrap, but Disney is slow walking towards gambling. I mean, and I'm not, I'm not a gambler. I don't gamble just because I'm too cheap, right? If I were to lose money on a bet, I would feel like I'd want to throw up, even if it was $5. I'm like, I got nothing out of that $5. I got nothing in return for that. So I've just never got into it. And I'm scared, like if I got into it, I'd get like addicted to it, like too. So I just don't go down that path. But it's, I just think Disney with owning ESPN, and if you watch any sporting event anymore, I mean, you get odds on, the scroll at the bottom has like the odds and the betting lines. And over the last 5 years, betting has just become just ingrained with sporting events like no other thing. And Chapek has even said this, the Disney executives are slow walking the company towards gambling. I think in the next 5 years, it would not shock me to have something like this. It's getting there.
Yeah. The Odyssey Sportsbook at Epcot. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. But yeah,
I would not mind that because hey, bring it.
I know we didn't necessarily mean to go on this path, but you absolutely hit it right. Like with ESPN, like you watch any kind of ball game, it could be, I mean, football is the most bet sport, for gambling wise, but like you can bet on baseball, hockey, and all that. And like anytime you see like a live game, they're showing all those odds. It's how we watch sports is so interesting. You see that when you're actually in the events too, at a game, you see that. So it's a market that Disney's not currently in, and that I'm sure they want to get into because it's very profitable. So, right. And they're all about making profits.
And I've had people tell me like, how do you watch a game and not bet on it? Because you don't have any skin in the game. Well, I just like sports for the pure joy of sports. And a lot of times, I do have a rooting interest, like either it's like an SEC team, like I root for our league, I root for my schools. But I mean, if I had a bet on a game, I'd be miserable. Like that's why I do not play fantasy football, because I used to be hooked on fantasy football for like 5 or 6 years when I first started teaching with a bunch of my teacher friends, and it ruined me. Like I'd be rooting against the Rams because I wanted like the guy for the Chargers to score a touchdown so I could win my game. I'm like, I'm totally hating on like the whole sport. Like I'm not enjoying this game. I'm just hoping like this guy that's on Monday Night Football like gets hit by a bus on the way to the game so he doesn't beat me. It's like, what am I turned into? Like it's terrible. Like
it takes enjoyment out of the games for sure. It's best to stay away.
Anyway, that took a terrible turn, but that's how my brain worked. I was like, I got to quit playing fantasy football. Like I got to walk away from this and just watch the games and enjoy them and eat chips. Anyway, so that was 5 minutes with Mike and Scott, 5 good minutes with 7 good minutes of internet issues. But hey, we're here. We hope you had a good time with us. We'll be back again on Wednesday with listener questions. And Friday, we'll have a show for you as well for Black Friday. But we appreciate you hanging out with us. Don't forget, our shows are always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. Check them out for all your Disney trip planning needs over at themagicforless.com. As you do that shopping this week on Amazon, please do click through our Amazon affiliate link. It supports everything we do. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And a sincere thank you, really a very, very big thank you to our patrons who make all these shows possible over at patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. Our patrons get that bonus show every week called Mike in the Midwest. So come on over and join us this week. Scott's on the Instagram and Twitter at Epscott, EPSCOT. I'm at Be Our Guest Mike. We'd love to hear from you this week. And of course, Sunday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. It's just going to be us this week because Scott's going to be down at Walt Disney World. So give me a call. Let's talk Disney. We can talk about the cruise ship. We can talk about any of these topics or anything that is on your mind. Sunday night, join me on Facebook or YouTube. All right, till we get back together again on Wednesday. You guys have a great Monday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. All righty.
I think you might have lost me again, but it was on you, so it didn't even matter.
We're good. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
Dude, I'm gonna mess with my internet right now. So
no worries. So yeah. So wait. What is today? Wednesday. So you'll be
We record on Sunday together, right?
Sunday and Monday, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Still?
So you're gonna record on your birthday? You're gonna do a live show on your birthday?
Oh, dude, I forgot about that. Yeah, probably will.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like I'm 12. Probably
That's true.
Sucks.
Nothing
Okay.
Maybe I'll call in from the Christmas
you
party
should. Yeah, you should. All right, I'm gonna edit this thing. I'll talk.
Right, so sorry, man. This is my worst. You're never gonna invite me back. I just lost all
whatever,
my
dude. That was the best show. All right. I'll see you.
All right, see ya.
All right, bye.